and I will give straightly the floor to Raquel, who has the challenge. Raquel Almeida from ISQ has the challenge to summarize the very intensive discussion and findings of the first day in a nutshell. Raquel, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you. In 5 minutes, I will try to do that. But first, a few words about me. I'm Raquel Almeida. I work for ISQ, which is a Portuguese company that works for industry, actually, in all sectors, providing consultancy, inspectants, and testing and training as well. Okay. Me personal, I have an environmental engineering background, and I have been working as a project manager in the Research and Development of Innovation department of ISQ. And in the last years, I have been involved with skills, trainings, and qualifications. Okay, so main highlights from yesterday, and I will try to be short. Antonio, don't worry, I have a chronometer. So one of the highlights was why is this blueprint important? Okay, so, and some of the conclusions were because new technological and systemic solutions found at an R&I level can only be implemented when we have a trained workforce. Yes, when can only be implemented at its full potential if employees are skilled enough to cope with it. So the blueprint can give us hints on how can the workforce match the research and innovation efforts, actually. It's also about giving, this blueprint is also about giving a good indication of what is important for reflection and to have a benchmark for internal staff to see what kind of measures need to be put in place to upskill right in time and proactively current workers. Another thing was that it can give good hiring requirements for companies, for instance. We also talked about cross-sectoral challenges, so where to find the synergies between the different sectors that are involved in this blueprint. Also to boost the application of industrial symbiosis in sectors in which industrial symbiosis is still not a reality due to inexistent technical solutions. In some cases, and yesterday we had the case presented by ArcelorMittal in mining in that part, most industrial symbiosis solutions are still not invented. So another challenge here. Also to give us an helicopter view on the opportunities that can be created between sectors, and this means building bridges, learning from other companies, connecting and sharing with other companies the information and experience they have. Another point that was raised yesterday was the fact that we cannot wait for governments, regulations, or external policies to start acting. We must act now and reach our targets. And this is actually an input given by Covestro. Whatever we do, we have to think of what is needed to increase our industry and European resilience. And the only way to bring sustainability into our future is to constantly reinvent ourselves. And this was, again, another input given yesterday. Also, we talked about the fact that a multidisciplinary approach must be taken to work on the several plans Europe has in place, not only considering circular economy, but also considering that this clean energy transition is also about industrial emission, it's also about ecological crisis, the climate crisis, biodiversity crisis, pollution crisis, resources crisis. So it's not, we have to have this holistic approach, holistic view. Also, the point that the Industrial Emissions Directive is being revised to include this multidisciplinary spirit, and also the fact that we need to stimulate a different way to train our working force, but also to train people with academia level. And when we talk about that, sometimes people just think of the lower VET, but we also talk about higher VET, meaning continuous training of people. Yes, and that skill strategies must work together with industrial strategies. And this was actually an input given by Industrial. And we also talked about the fact that do current regulatory requirements create a barrier to industrial symbiosis solutions? And I have to stop now because my 5 minutes ended, but I strongly suggest that you go and check the videos if you were not here yesterday. We will have the videos, the recordings of the sessions available in the project website. Also, please don't forget that this is an European project and we need to have some metrics of the success of the event. So there will be a feedback survey, very short, but we will need you. It's very important for us that you fill it in. It's a very short one, so this could be a very short contribute, but very important to us. Thank you. I don't want to take much time, more time than I have.
Thank you, Raquel, for this short and comprehensive overview of yesterday. Just to add that there were some interesting wordings I liked very much, and also from a perspective of summarizing things. So it was mentioned that that this is societal learning and not only industry learning. So the integration in the societal development, and also the focus on the young generation dynamics, pushing things forward, were also mentioned. But let's move to day 2. Raquel already mentioned that the slides and also the recording will be available at our webpage, and as she said, please give us your remarks, your feedback, your questions in the chat or raise your hand. So thanks a lot for that. Then let's have a short look at the program of today. So we will start with Felix Rohn from the DG Employment European Commission concerning Pact for Skills. Then we will have some examples from the member states. The third part will be concerning good practices and challenges from other blueprints and skills program. And we will, in the end, we will discuss about potential collaboration for our rollout of the blueprint, to have some examples where we can, let's say, cooperate with. Urska Primic from the EACEA from the European Commission will tell us something about Erasmus Plus funding opportunities, recent ones. And we will close the day with some communication and dissemination advertising, so that you can stay in touch with us. Okay, so the first speaker, like yesterday, very shortly introduced. I think you have to close the presentation, your screen, and Felix has to upload it. So Felix Rohn from the DG Employment European Commission. Again, he's in charge of the blueprints for sectoral cooperation on skills. And he is working also in the Pact for Skills team. So he's, let's say, a very important interface between skills, qualifications, also in connecting point also with other DGs in the Commission, and especially with a project like ours. So Felix, again, the floor is yours. You mentioned already the Pact for Skills, and we are curious for your presentation.
Yes, good morning. Hello again. So I share my screen. Here's the presentation. So, and then I have to get this away. No. This bloody picture.
You can. You have to we can see it now, but you have to delete these pop-ups here. So we have.
Yeah, I try to. Better. It wouldn't work in the beginning. I tried that button, but now it worked.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So, Pact for Skills. You are certainly interested stakeholders. So, Pact for Skills is the first flagship action of the European Skills Agenda that the Commission presented in 2020. What is it, the Skills Agenda? It's the European Commission's strategy for skills development, or skills policy in the next 5 years. It foresees 12 flagship actions. The particularity of the Pact is that the other actions can in fact be the results of them, or the implementation of the other actions can take place within the Pact for Skills. That depends on the actors that implement the other actions, whether they are members of the Pact or not. They can also become members later after results of their actions are already available, and bring these results to the Pact for Skills. And that we, in fact, would also like to see for Spire-Sais and the European Skills Agenda for Steel, the other blueprint where Antonius is the coordinator. We would like to see this win-win situation that these two blueprints and the future Pact for Skills in energy-intensive industries are together in a skills partnership. So that said, why a Pact for Skills? Industrial symbiosis is a very good example that the task in a job become more and more challenging due to, well, digitalization. And of course, the green transition requires changing processes and technologies. And the number of low qualified adults simply doesn't fit to what is needed. So we have to do something about it. And that was confirmed by the ministers at the Porto Social Summit. And you see the highlighted figure. And with that, I go on. So what do we expect, in fact, of those that join the Pact, and who could join the Pact? This slide is on that. I'm not reading it out. We want, under the Pact in skills partnerships, we want to have a good mix of stakeholders that are already active in upskilling and reskilling, and that join forces. And these are private and public stakeholders. And their common objective should be upskilling and reskilling. And when I say joining forces, I do not only mean staff and resources and equipment. I also mean in terms of financing, also public and private funding. So here you have the architecture of the Pact. You see here what kind of on the left-hand side, sorry, you can see what kind of partnerships are possible, large-scale partnerships that kind of build on sector skills alliances, or national, or regional, or local partnerships. And they can build on what you see at the bullet points, but also on the European clusters partnerships, or on already existing smart specialization strategy regions. Also, the European Alliance for Apprenticeships, these pledges that in the future will be made could also be made in the framework of the Pact. Those who pledge under EAFA could be members of the Pact, could become members of the Pact. Even individual commitments are possible, and we have them. You will see examples for that later on. Social partners can get involved with the Pact, in the Pact, by making tripartite commitments for upskilling and reskilling. So we ask people for commitments. We ask stakeholders to implement concrete actions. What do they get? And we ask them also for funding. What in turn they get from us is this what you see under support from the EU. We are about to launch these support services, and you see there are 3 hubs with some examples what they include, and the contractor will start to be operational soon. You will hear, as members of the Pact, I don't know if there are some among the audience here, will hear from the contractor, I would guess in April the latest. When you join the Pact, you also adhere to principles. There are those that sign up only to the charter, which includes the principles on the right-hand side, but we prefer entities to join the Pact with commitments for upskilling and reskilling, and not just signing up to principles. That is quite obvious, I think. So this slide is a little bit repeating what the general slide already showed. And joining the Pact in practice means that on the website of the Pact for Skills, you have a link to an application form where you then can fill in your entity, if you have also your partners, and at the end there's also a table whether you only sign up to the charter or whether you also make commitments, and then you have to list them, and you have to also develop, also to list also key performance indicators related to those commitments. I recommend, by the way, that if you intend as an entity to join an already existing skills partnership under the Pact, then you do not have to fill in an extra individual application. You take contact with the coordinator of such a skills partnership, and you make the arrangements to become partner, and it will be the coordinator who complements the partnership application with the name of your entity. So the Pact is also very much anchored in the industrial strategy of the European Union. And the industrial strategy last year has extensively introduced the 14 ecosystems that you see here on this slide. And what you see in blue, these ecosystems have ongoing blueprint alliances. Here you see energy intensive industries. You see there is no, the roundtable took place, but there is no, that means there are 2 large-scale skills partnerships. Here is none, and we would like to go in that direction, that you, stakeholders in energy-intensive industries, form a large-scale skills partnership. And this will be coached, if you wish so, desire so, this will be coached by the European Commission, by DG Internal Market, or in short, GROW. And there we have a colleague, I guess he's following now this presentation, Salvatore Berger, who could support your work to form a large-scale skills partnership, but it should be the ecosystem itself, the stakeholders, coalition of the willing themselves that do the preparatory work to launch such a partnership. That said, I go on to, these are examples of commitments of large-scale skills partnerships in ecosystems that already exist. Since you will receive the presentation, I will, and you can read it then in tranquility, I go on. So here, further commitments. We have 9 large-scale skills partnerships in 8 ecosystems. We have in total 550 signatories of the Charter and 250 with concrete commitments. We would, of course, like to see more entities or partnerships joining with concrete commitments and not just signing the Charter. Yes, we have different types of stakeholders. This I already presented in the general slide. the support services. Here are some slides with more details on the 3 hubs. So here the knowledge hub, here the networking hub. Part of the contract with for the support services is also communication contact with stakeholders. Here you see bullets what that includes. What will the support service do for the large-scale partnerships in ecosystems is here shown here and here. So, and here we come to the very interesting subject of funding. As we see it, such skills partnerships cannot rely on EU funds only. As I said, joining forces, making commitments means also to do so in financial terms. And since there are public and private actors for upskilling and reskilling, they can combine public and private funds. Our funds can be kick-off, help in the kick-off, can maybe help via, for example, the European Social Fund, help to run training courses. Erasmus can help, as this project demonstrates, and also other projects, many other projects under Erasmus demonstrate, help in the upgrading, revamping, revision, modernizing education and training curricula, programs, and modules. So Erasmus does not pay for running training courses, but to keep them up to date and state of the art. And labor market relevant, very important. Recovery and resilience facility, member states get huge amounts of money. We have taken care that the chapter in the national plans for this facility on upskilling and reskilling is coherent with possible actions under the Pact, so that the Pact partnerships at national level with their actions will well fit in the national planning. If the member state has foreseen, let's say, important planning for upskilling and reskilling, it depends in the end on the member states. But we have given guidance to member states for the chapter upskilling and reskilling for the national planning. So there should be coherency. And there are also other possibilities, as you can see, also under Horizon, the Research and Technical Development Program of the European Union. Here you have an overview on the Pact for Skills website. You have a link to EU funding instruments for upskilling and reskilling with further links. So if you would click on the ESF, you would then further could click you through to your member state and even to your region to find the authority that is responsible for the ESF in your region. So a skills partnership can activate the members and say, yeah, well, everybody's located in a region, or so please look out who is responsible for ESF. Maybe we can apply. Here are the examples of individual commitments, meaning of individual companies or individual federations that have applied with commitments. And then these slides show more examples what the skills partnerships in the ecosystems are doing and what kind of priorities they have, more details on their commitments. I'm not showing this now in length. Here a slide on the alliances for blueprint alliances. I said already perfect building blocks for a future skills partnership in an ecosystem. And then other building blocks are European, the activities of regions, European clusters, for example, and European cluster partnership across borders in the same sector. Also those regions that have a smart specialization strategy, they work for themselves, but they also cooperate with other regions across borders that have also a smart specialization strategy in the same fields. So these are also perfect building blocks for skills partnerships. Okay, here are some slides on to give you ideas to what first steps should be taken to form a skills partnership. And so here you have the slides. And also a word on the key performance indicators that I mentioned in relation to the concrete commitments that we expect. Yes, I think this is self-explanatory, and I'm going on. Here are examples of regions that are already members of the Pact in various forms, either as regional partnerships or as regions that are members in large-scale skills partnerships in ecosystems. Okay, and here are other examples of skills initiatives under the Pact at local and regional level. Okay, here are some hints and advices and links that can help you to get an overview and get you ideas. The declarations of the large-scale skills partnerships are on the Pact for Skills website. There you can look in more detail what kind of commitments they did, what vision they have for the next years to come, where they want to try to achieve their commitments, their objectives. And here is a kind of summary and final remarks. What is important for us for the Pact for Skills? And with that, I'm at the end of my presentation. And here the Pact for Skills website.
Yes, thank you very much, Felix, for this comprehensive presentation. We will come back to in our project to the information on your slides. Very helpful. Maybe I forgot to say that most of the partners signed the Pact for Skills already on behalf of the Spire-Sais blueprint. But I understood that we have to go for much more for a formal commitment, and we will do our best to become part of this industrial ecosystem on energy intensive industries. So it's very good to integrate also the public stakeholders and concern. This is also very much appreciated concerning our rollout to the member states, to collaborate with them, and it might be good to have there also let's say some support from the Pact for Skills, or to have a round table where these people are also present.
Yeah, it's a win-win situation. Once there's a large-scale skills partnership in energy-intensive industries, they can build on your results, and you have a forum where you can roll out your results in the large-scale skills partnership.
Yeah. So let's see how we can make use of this new initiative from the European Commission. Just to get a feedback, there is one remark in the chat that we could focus on our final conference on it. That might be a good idea. But Adrian has prepared a short question to get the feedback from your side. What do you think? What is most important concerning the Pact for Skills?
Yes, again, you will find the link to the Mentimeter in the chat. So, as Tony said, this is the question: what are the most important principles of the Pact for Skills from your perspective? So there were already some answers coming in. If you take a look at my screen, you can see the results. maybe some of you are still writing. I will, with looking at the time, still try to make a first summary of it. I think one of the main aspects that were mentioned is cooperation and collaboration, also in combination with stakeholder engagement. The European dimension and integration was also mentioned, and integrating a multi-level approach, and of course the integration of social aspects. So these are very valuable insights, I guess, for us. And so, of course, I will leave this Mentimeter open. If you still have something to add, you can do that in the next minutes. And we will take a closer look at your results after the midterm conference.
Okay, thank you, Adrian, for this summary. It's very clearly remarked that cooperation and stakeholder engagement are the main success factors. So I think we are on a good track with our Spire-Sais blueprint, engaging about 40 stakeholders from different areas. Okay, so thanks for this, for your feedback here.